For the last few days, everyone has been wondering, where in the world is Joe Biden? The guy that supposedly is presumptive nominee for the Democrats, was gone. Unable to be seen, no public statements, all of this was going on. There's this vacuum of leadership, and he was not stepping into it. Now, as of today, he has resumed making videos, and so we're going to have a bit of those. So they come in two forms. He does have a live stream, which we'll get to, but here is a bit of a video that they posted to Twitter on his account.
President Trump and Mitch McConnell are trying to put a corporate bailout ahead of millions of families. You know, it's families. It's simply wrong. We should be focusing on families. The White House and the United States Senate Republicans have proposed a $500 billion slush fund for corporations with almost no conditions. And you don't have to tell Americans where it's going to go for months. You don't have to explain what you did with it. The Trump administration could allow money for stock buybacks, for executive pay. Republicans refuse to increase Social Security at the same time, to forgive student loans, to take the necessary steps to stop evictions, ensure food and nutrition for vulnerable families. Senator McConnell should immediately allow a bipartisan vote on aggressive measures to help small businesses, workers, communities, so they reflect what they need and so they can get moving, so we can help them now. This is a time to help families, communities, and small businesses. People trying to pay their mortgages or their rent, student loans, urgent bills. They need help. They shouldn't have to pay for a corporate handout before they get the help they need. They need the help now.
So, mostly there you have him talking about one of the components of the Senate bill that's being considered, this $500 billion just fund that the Treasury Department is going to give to companies that they like, presumably. And it doesn't appear that there's going to be much limitation on what they do with that money, which means we know what they're going to do with that money. So Joe Biden has reappeared. He seemed to me to be fairly low energy. He didn't seem, I know some people are saying they think he has a coronavirus. He doesn't look particularly sick there in comparison to how he's looked recently. But what do you think about him popping his head back up?
I mean, I think it is way too little and way too late. And to be totally honest with you, I do hope, I think we need all the leadership that we can get in this time. So I do hope that he comes back regularly and sounds a lot stronger and more resolved than that, because, and then I don't want to, play into the oh, he's got early onset dementia, but that, if that is after a week of not hearing from him and he is slurring his words and he does seem tired, he just seems, Joe Biden, his campaign is a little bit the dad that comes in to sort everything out because he's kids, you know what I mean? That's sort of, he kind of has this you guys, but you handle this, all right. And so everything he does is with that sort of air of do I have to solve this? I'm too tired to solve this.
Yeah.
And that doesn't instill a lot of confidence in me. And, I know the campaign was giving a lot of excuses. They were trying to set up an HD camera in his home. And I don't think any of us bought that. So
it's HD? Your iPhone is HD,
exactly.
And it's probably connected to the internet.
Exactly. And that's the
It's
thing
4K,
is
actually.
Yeah. I mean, back to this sort of why do you want to be president moment that I think every candidate, I think anyone who's running should ask themselves that. Biden does not have a clear why I'm running sense to him. He does not connote that he actually wants to be running for president, that he knows what he's doing, that he feels confident in what he's doing, that he is prepared for the immense challenges. I mean, God, in November, if we have a continued economic recession or, God forbid, depression, we are going to need some real leadership.
Yeah.
But he's got so much of the structural Democratic Party propping him up that I'm I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they had days and days where he couldn't record a video on his phone and have them upload it to Twitter. The thing we just sent, that wasn't even a live address. They uploaded that and it looked heavily edited. It was off a teleprompter.
Right.
Honestly, we want you to be a leader, not to read a script that you might not have been that involved in and that was really weak anyway. Honestly, Bernie Sanders has been doing every couple of days, he does a big live digital address. He brings in experts. They had, like Rashida Tlaib was on. I think that was literally last night.
Yeah, it was very good. It really was
mhm.
nice. There was a lot of like, I mean, it was off the cuff and it was just an interview. I mean, Biden could easily do that. I just want to see him a little bit off the cuff, not scripted. Like,
Yeah.
where's his heart at? Where is his head at? And I think Bernie is really demonstrating that he knows and can kind of just, feel things and think things, on the fly, and that like
mhm.
any good politician or leader.
Yeah. Yeah, and also like it's one thing for Joe to come out and to sort of to bring up some, I think, fairly obvious criticisms of the Senate bill. That's
Right.
fine. And he endorsed something that Elizabeth Warren is pushing, but like Bernie, like a week and a half ago, he had his like 3 principles that should drive the response to coronavirus. Like what is Joe thinking of? What is Joe adding himself? Or even
Right.
just his team if it's not him. Because I understand that we're supposed to, like, he was talking recently about, he apparently had a conversation with Barack Obama about who his VP is going to be, and they have to be ready to step into the job immediately. Like, but that might not even wait for, if he were to, unfortunately, pass on while president. Like, I don't know how much he's actually driving inside of his own campaign right now. If I were the candidate and I was told by my team, oh no, we need like 3 or 4 days to set up a studio, I'd be like, no, I want to win. Give me a camera, give me a phone, give me whatever. We're surrounded by technology. I want to do this right now. But just like in the debates, how he's the only person that when they say your time is up, he's like, oh, okay, I'm good. Now, he doesn't seem to want to talk either. If you don't want to talk, then you do not want to lead. And I don't want you to. I don't trust you to.
Yeah. I mean, and it says a lot. I mean, I think even for you, John, even for like TYT, you're like, listen, people rely on your voice, they rely on your analysis. And even if you're feeling crappy and you're feeling dejected, you kind of just like pull it together. Let's talk to people. Let's create community. This is the time to do that. This is the time to create community. And you're
Mhm.
absolutely right. Just 1 minute of watching Trump's any kind of press conference, any of these days, as the presumptive nominee, wouldn't you just be like, oh, put me live, baby. Like,
Mhm.
let's talk about this,
I want to follow that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And by the way, I also wanted to mention that the primary, at least in some forms, is still going on. So you might have seen the news that Bernie Sanders has won the Democrats Abroad primary. Now, it is not a ton of delegates. I think he's going to end up getting about 9. Joe Biden's going to get about 4. So it's not fundamentally going to change the math very much. But another primary has concluded, and this one went to Bernie Sanders. So that is good news.
Listen, I was an expat for many years, and so I know what it is to look. You don't get a better perspective on the United States than looking at it from another country,
Mhm.
especially another country that actually has universal health care. I just saw there's a France for Bernie Twitter account, and I'm like, of course,
Yeah.
these are
Yeah.
all Americans who've like left this country because there is no social safety net.
Yeah.
And
So
now they're like, we need to change it so I can come back.
and France has been hit hard too. So
Absolutely.
they certainly are dealing with this as well. So let's play one other video now that we've gotten past the substance of Joe Biden's disappearance and the continuing concerns from his reappearance. They did do that live address this morning. I saw 6,000 people were tuning in, and they have already had some issues. So we have a video I want to play of that. Here he is with apparently having some issues with his teleprompter, which they were 100% using.
Beef up the number of responders dealing with these crush of cases. And in addition to that, we have to make sure that we are in a position that we are. Well, let me go to the second thing. I've spoken enough of that. The president must use the Defense Production Act.
So there,
Oh,
he's like, move. No, and then he tries to remember what that section was going to be on. Then he said, well, you know what? I've talked enough about that. But no, you didn't, because you didn't actually say it, because you're skipping it because the teleprompter wasn't ready. Look,
oh
I
my
know I
God.
can't use a teleprompter very well, but do you need to be on a teleprompter? You've been in isolation for multiple days. You should have been thinking about this. You should have thought of some stuff to say.
I mean, I think there's a big debate around the teleprompter generally, and I'm someone who does like pre-recorded videos, like well produced. They're produced, right? So I have a script, and like I
Hmm.
definitely need a teleprompter because it will look stupid if I look down at like a joke that I've planned um, and I've written out. But if you are a leader, once again, and if you or you're just used to, you're a politician, you're used to talking about this, give yourself 3 bullet points. And I think,
Hmm.
Bernie Sanders was taking heat for looking down at his notes early on. I don't care. It
Yeah.
is you're it's fine. Write down. Everyone needs some notes, but then you should just be able to remember like where you're going, beginning, middle, end, baby. Like tell a story, tell
Yeah.
like just go. And the fact that he is unable to do that without a teleprompter, or that his staff is afraid that he will go off topic,
Mhm.
is so concerning.
Yeah, and let me be clear. I don't have a problem with a teleprompter either. Some of my favorite like political comedy shows use teleprompters. It does drastically increase your quality. I wish that I could have that. But you have to be ready. You have to have the knowledge and be ready to go if it goes down. Especially if you're, elected politician. This isn't like, Stephen Colbert having an issue. Like you should
Right.
be an expert on this if you're Joe Biden at this point.
Right. Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. What were you
Yeah.
gonna say?
No, nothing. And then I guess I just think that like, look, this is a time when people don't care where you are. I mean, look, like we're just in our homes, we're talking to people, we're connecting to them live. Him rolling in a lectern that says Biden with the number to text, it just rings really hollow. Like it seems even more fake, and I guess impersonal, if I can even say that in this time.
Yeah, it's a little bit formal. Like it's in
Yeah.
your rec room. Like imagine if I had these board games behind me and I'm sitting at a podium. I don't know. Like I know you want to
Exactly.
appear professional. I get
Yes.
that. I guess we're all working through it. I personally don't think you should have the podium in your house. That seems a little bit
No,
weird.
we know who you are.